minus 20 out today. I'm wearing sleeveless because I refuse to accept that it's winter. I'm gonna drive this and I'm not even wearing a sweater, not wearing a jacket. I'm not wearing, look at see my breath? It's freezing. I don't care. It's all up here. Oh, okay, bad idea. Don't listen to this. Use your logic. If it's freaking minus 20, put on a sweater and a jacket. I'm bundled up, and that was a terrible idea. So today, see the hand motion? That means today. So today, we're gonna get into, this means we're gonna get into. So today, we're gonna get into a video on glass. Haven't done glass related videos in a bit, and I know that I have some glass followers, so this one's for you guys, okay? This one is 5 amazing, okay, this is the amazing thing, 5 amazing tips for a wicked glass install. 5 amazing tips for a wicked glass install, okay? Tip number 1. If you're living in a colder climate, if you can look out that door, you'll see there's a lot of snow out there. If you're living in a colder environment, this tip is for you, okay? Look at all this snow. It's cold outside. On the truck, there's still snow, okay? Got some snow on the wheels. I just pulled it in. The truck is cold. Tip number 1. Do not touch anything until it warms up, okay? Because if you try and take the cowl off, any plastic clips that are on there, or parts, they're gonna be super brittle from the cold, and they're gonna wanna snap and break. We do not wanna break anything. So when the vehicle's cold, don't touch it until it's nice and warm. Another reason why you don't want to touch it till it warms up is because the urethane that holds the windshield on, okay, this truck's in here for a new windshield. The urethane that holds it on, when it's ice cold, it's extremely hard, and it really difficult cutting through. So warm it up and it's gonna slice through a lot easier, giving your arms a break, giving your tools a break, and just less chance of any issues and vehicle damage that way when everything just flows smoothly. So warm it up. Tip number 2. Because we're at tip number 2, you'll notice that my voice got deeper because we're getting deep into this tip shit right now. All right, tip number 2. Before you take the wiper blades off, which we need to do, make sure that you take a mental note of where they're sitting, okay? It's about an inch from the top of this black here, okay? I've taken that mental note, and then I move over to the other one, and I take a mental note of where that's sitting, okay? In parallel to this. The reason why we do that is when it comes time to put them back on, not every windshield has the marks in place for where the wiper blades need to sit. And you want this thing sitting back where it was. Otherwise, when you turn the wipers on, if you have them positioned incorrectly, it can come over the body, causing possible scratches. It can come maybe not as far, it could stop right here. It can go and hit the other wiper blade, causing them to break. Lots of problems can happen. So take a mental note of where they sit, and then when you remove the wiper blades, place them, get in the habit of always, not just one time, all the time, placing them in parallel fashion somewhere else, okay? If you're gonna put them in the vehicle, place them left to right every time, drivers, passengers, every time, so you never confuse which is which, and you don't put them on backwards when it's time to put them back on. If you're gonna place them under the vehicle, wherever you're putting them, make sure you always put them in the same spot, in the same fashion, and always take that mental note of where they are, which one's which, and get in that habit, because then every time you take the wiper blades off, you'll be putting them back on correctly and in the right position. And some vehicles like Chevy Uplanders, things like that, the wiper blades are really picky, and they need to be perfectly in the right spot. Like, see the head movement? That means super perfectly in the right spot. So pay attention to tip number 2. It's super important, and it'll save you a lot of headaches. And last little twist for tip number 2. When you're done, spray glass cleaner, okay, that's a spray motion, on the windshield, and test it. Make sure it's all perfect before you give it to the customer. Don't leave it for the customer to find out if it's perfect and working properly or not. You test it first. If you need to make adjustments, make those adjustments before the vehicle leaves. See my fingers? Tip number 3, and I'm gonna make my fingers glow. Woo! Okay, this is an interesting tip. Pay attention. This might not seem like a big deal to most of you, and most of you might not even listen to this one, okay? And that's fine. But if you want to stand out from the crowd, if you want to be above and beyond, and if you want to be the one that's preferred because of the small details, and trust me, they will be noticed, please do this, okay? Now when you open the door to get in your car, the first thing you see is this dirty, nasty kick panel, okay? And half the time when we're working on the truck, we're going in and out, and we're making that even more dirty. If you clean this kick panel, okay, the plastic, and you make it nice and spotless and nice and shiny, and you clean their mirror. Nobody ever cleans the mirror, because there's always like smudges, debris, whatever on the mirror, especially in older cars. Clean that. Clean this. It's the little extra things that'll make the biggest difference, because it's standard to clean the dash. I sure hope you guys are cleaning the dash, but it's not standard. I don't see everybody doing this in the mirror. And when they come back and they got a brand new sparkling windshield, okay, spotless dash, which you should be doing anyway, and they look in the mirror and that's glimmering, and the kick panels are shiny when they open the door, and don't forget to do the passenger side, it just makes the experience above and beyond. I highly recommend doing that, and it's just going to bring your quality way up, and it's going to make you stand out from the crowd. It'll make the experience so much better. Everything will just glisten, and in the holiday season, it's all about glistening. Okay guys, tip number 4. We're almost there. Listen to this. When you put a windshield in, okay, oftentimes if it doesn't have stoppers, or if it doesn't have the clips at the top of the windshield to hold it in place, we have to put a piece of tape to make sure that it stays put until the urethane is cured enough that we can remove it, and the windshield's not going to slide anywhere. Don't leave the tape on the car when you give it to the customer, okay? Now, use the quick dry urethane stuff. Sika's a great brand. Sika Drive is great. 2 hours airbag safe, fully cured time. The reason why you should use the quick dry urethane is because that way, when you apply the urethane, by the time you put the glass in, you get the cowl on, you clean everything, get the wiper blades on and all that, you can already remove the tape, and that urethane starts to get hard enough and it cures enough that the windshield can't move by its own weight. So what you do is you remove it. Now when you remove it, you can properly clean the windshield. Second benefit is, and I've noticed this a lot, okay guys, I've done windshields on work vehicles and on personal vehicles where the windshield they did before, they left the tape on and the tape was still on. Sometimes they'll pull the tape like days later and it'll rip around here and it'll stay on the roof, and for some reason customers just leave it alone, but that gets baked on with like super hot days, even super cold days will just ruin it. And it literally, like, it's like one with the car when it stays on there for long enough. Complete disaster, and it's all because a windshield was done. I mean, there's no point of that. It's ridiculous. And I've also had dealerships complain to me when they transition from a different client to myself, the one thing that they notice is that when I'm done a vehicle, customer car of theirs, it looks stunning. It's finished, it's done, there is no tape. Because if you leave the tape, a salesman or a service person has to go pull the tape off, make sure it's clean underneath, and then give the vehicle to a customer. They don't want to have to deal with it. They just want it done. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to deal with tape. The customer doesn't want to deal with tape. So don't do that. Tip number 4, make sure the tape's off and you clean it, because this is a super common one for a lot of glass companies. And don't forget, we're not trying to be like everybody else. We need to be a notch above, and that's how you become successful. Final tip, tip number 5. Listen to this one. Tip number 5. When you put on a rubber molding, when you're applying that rubber molding on the glass while the glass is still out of the car, a lot of the time the rubber molding that we get is going to have like a little bit of adhesive on it inside the groove, so that'll hold the molding on the glass. Now, based on the vehicle and based on the molding, a lot of the time that little bit of adhesive is completely useless, and it's not enough, because some windshields will have the molding so far away from the edge of the glass that it actually gets urethaned on the vehicle. Therefore, behind the scenes, the urethane is not going and touching the molding. So the only thing holding that molding on that glass is a little bit of sticky, putty kind of adhesive crap that's on that molding. It doesn't work. How many windshields have you done? And if you haven't done any yet, you'll notice that sometimes when you go to do a windshield and you go to pull the molding off, it'll just pull off like butter. Like it'll come off with no effort. Imagine now how easily that'll come off in certain situations. What if you're pressure washing your car? You know, you hit it on a certain angle, you're gonna start popping that molding off. I see it a lot. I get a lot of cars come in because the molding is starting to pop off in certain areas. It's because it was not put on properly. And how to put it on properly is when you put it on, that little bit of adhesive glue garbage stuff that's on there, that'll hold it on in place on the glass. But you don't want that to be the only thing holding that molding on. You want to apply some urethane around that molding behind the scenes on the glass to hold it on the glass, a really flat bead of urethane right around, and that way it cannot come off. It doesn't matter if you do 200 miles an hour, it doesn't matter if you pull on it, it doesn't matter if you pressure wash your car, it's just set. It's going to be perfect. It's not going to fly off on the highway, and I've seen a lot of them fly off on the highway because they come to me to fix it once that happens. So tip number 5, don't just assume that you can throw molding on and that's it. Use some common sense and realize that if the only thing that's going to hold that molding on that glass is a little bit of gluey, tacky stuff that's inside the groove that comes with the molding, in a lot of cases that's just not enough, and we should take the extra steps to make it an awesome windshield, not just a windshield that's done. Okay? Make it an awesome, high quality, amazing, problem-free windshield. That's how we do it. There's the 5 tips. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was helpful for you, leave me a thumbs up so I know that it was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below. If you'd like some more how-to videos, subscribe because I'll have them posted every week. Thanks.